The film opens with a scene aboard a commercial airliner where a father tries to distract his daughter from the long flight by having her spot animals in the clouds. Meanwhile, a nervous nun finds comfort in a priest's story of his miraculous conversion from a Los Angeles gang member to a man of God. The plane's serene atmosphere is disrupted by a boisterous passenger who flirts with a flight attendant, but the mood quickly shifts to one of terror when the plane's radar detects several unknown objects approaching. The flight crew is helpless as a flying shark seemingly from a B-movie appears outside the window and attacks the plane, causing it to crash. The news reports the crash, raising questions about a possible terrorist act. The scene transitions to a secret facility where an older Dr. Angelique Richter is being examined. She seems to be a key figure in the events unfolding. A recorded message from a military official, Captain Brent Tyler, reveals that the plane crash occurred between Greenland and Iceland and that only 8 bodies have been recovered. The official is concerned that the plane attack is linked to a prior investigation into a mysterious object found in the Arctic. We are then introduced to a research team in the Arctic working on a glacier's retreat. The team discovers a massive ancient-looking warship-like craft frozen in the ice. Captain Tyler sends a team to investigate the mysterious craft, which looks like a German Nazi warship. The team's live feed shows them entering the ship's control room where they find a female scientist named Richter who is trapped. Just as the team tries to help her, they are attacked by a horde of zombies that look like the creatures from the plane crash. The zombies kill the entire team, leaving only Richter alive. Captain Tyler is frustrated as he believes Richter is his past catching up with him, but he can't get her out of there and watches helplessly as she is captured. The story then returns to Richter's technology company, where she is now at a high level. She and her sister Diabla share a moment of worry and frustration over their father. Dr. Richter's father reveals his past as a Nazi scientist named Hans Kammler, the brilliant mind behind Project Himmelsfaust, a secret Nazi plan to create super weapons. He explains that he developed a genetically manipulated serum called KB that could regenerate and strengthen tissue, making soldiers invulnerable. When the serum was used on women, it led to zombification, making them stronger and more aggressive, but also more obedient to their Nazi superiors. The Nazi plan was to use airplanes to spray the serum over battlefields, turning dead soldiers into an undead army of super soldiers, a project called Project Himmelsfaust. The film shows a Nazi propaganda film outlining the project. It describes how the serum could be used on dead soldiers to create an army of undead super soldiers who would fly in flying machines called Reich's flying sharks. These flying sharks were equipped with jet engines and machine guns and were considered the ultimate B-weapons. Dr. Richter's father explains that the project was a success and the flying Nazi sharks, dubbed Sky Sharks, were created. However, the project was ultimately a failure due to Goering's betrayal and the end of the war. Richter's father, along with other Nazi scientists, was brought to the US through Project Paperclip, a secret program to acquire German scientists after the war. He reveals that the Sky Sharks project was never fully destroyed but instead lay dormant, waiting for the right moment to strike. The news then reports a series of terrorist attacks in Europe with people screaming about Sky Sharks. Dr. Richter's father reveals that the Sky Sharks are now in the air and that the world has about a week before they destroy everything. He calls for a war council, bringing together intelligence chiefs from around the world to fight the Sky Sharks. The council meets and discusses the situation. They confirm that the Sky Sharks, who were thought to be neutralized, are now active and that the world is in grave danger. Dr. Richter's father, as an expert on the subject, outlines a plan of attack, but the team's doubts about his motives and past create a tense atmosphere. The film concludes with the War Council planning to strike back against the Sky Sharks and stop their terrifying plan of global domination. The movie opens with a high-stakes War Council meeting in which international military and political leaders discuss the immediate threat posed by the Sky Sharks. Dr. Richter, the creator of the KB serum and the Sky Sharks, is the central figure, explaining that the creatures were created for world domination and have been dormant until now. He warns that a breeding program could unleash an even greater number of them. His daughter Diabla is also present and appears to be in poor health. The council members, including representatives from the United States, France, and the UK, express outrage and frustration at Richter's past, but they must put aside their differences to find a solution. The main problem is that the Sky Sharks have a genetic stealth camouflage that makes them invisible to standard radar. Dr. Katsub, a Japanese shark expert, proposes a solution, an inverted sonar signal that could disrupt their camouflage. The plan is to get a military transport close enough to a group of sharks and emit this sonar pulse, which would make them visible and allow fighter jets to shoot them down. However, the international leaders are at odds. The French representative Colbert boasts about his nation's air force, prompting a heated exchange with his American counterpart, who threatens to send US carriers up the Seine. Meanwhile, the UK representative is more concerned with the financial cost of the operation. The US senator ultimately steps in, declaring that a no-fly zone must be implemented immediately to ensure safety. A news report confirms that a worldwide no-fly zone has been implemented, causing economic chaos and panic among the public. The country is under martial law and people are unable to leave. On a U.S. naval aircraft carrier, a group of air marshals, including the tough and experienced Air Marshal Jasmine and the quirky Kai, are preparing for a mission. Jasmine is concerned about Kai's health, but Kai insists it's just a flu. The group is tasked with transporting a device that will emit the sonar pulse to make the Sky Sharks visible. The plane takes off and Jasmine is reunited with a colleague she hasn't seen since the disaster that left her in her current position. The plane travels slowly, a tactic to lure the sky sharks out into the open. The passengers become anxious and a woman who appears to be an air marshal in disguise comforts them, telling them to trust her. Aboard the aircraft carrier, Dr. Richter and his daughter Angelique are coordinating the mission. Angelique is concerned about her sister Diabla, who is also on the plane. She realizes that Diabla's illness is not the flu but a reaction to the KB serum, and she fears that the sky sharks are being drawn to her sister's presence. As the plane flies over the Faroe Islands, the sky sharks attack. The air marshals prepare for battle and the sonar pulse is activated, making the creatures visible. Fighter jets are deployed and a chaotic air battle ensues. The plane is under attack and the passengers, including the air marshals, fight for their lives. The plan appears to be working, but the sky sharks mutate to defend themselves, becoming more resilient and dangerous. Dr. Richter realizes that his original plan to neutralize the sky sharks has failed. Project Dead Flash and a new threat. Dr. Richter reveals that the sky sharks are not just a mindless horde but are heading to New York to kill their creator Him. He believes they know he has been developing an antidote to neutralize them, which would reverse their programming. To combat this, he unleashes his final solution, Project Dead Flash. A flashback reveals that Project Dead Flash was a secret military operation born out of the Vietnam War. Dr. Richter, with the help of Project Paperclip, created a super soldier named Damien. He developed a neuro receiver to control the dead soldiers by implanting it into their brains and infecting them with the KB serum. The plan was to use Damien to control an army of zombies. However, the experiment failed when Dr. Green, who was controlling Damien, experienced a rush of adrenaline that disrupted the connection. Damien went on a rampage, killing both friend and foe. Dr. Richter, however, learned a valuable lesson from the failure. He couldn't break a dead person's will. With the help of modern nanotechnology, he found a way to overwrite the will of any given individual, a discovery he now plans to use against the sky sharks. The movie then returns to the present, where the US Navy deploys a new weapon, Megalodon, a giant shark-like warship. The Megalodon, controlled by an army of dead flesh soldiers, attacks the sky sharks and successfully destroys them. The danger is averted and the plane with its remaining passengers is safe. The movie ends with the revelation that the German Nazi scientist Hans Himmler, not Dr. Richter, is the true mastermind behind the sky sharks. A post-credit scene introduces a new film, Sky Frogs, a parody of the movie's title and plot. The film reveals that Himmler's plan was always more sinister than simply creating super soldiers for the Third Reich. He viewed the sky sharks as the ultimate weapon for a new global order, the Fourth Reich, that would rise from the ashes of a world ravaged by his creations. Richter, who had been working for Himmler, had a crisis of conscience and betrayed his mentor, but he was too late to stop the project entirely. He escaped to America through Operation Paperclip, a US program to recruit German scientists, and became a key figure in American military research, all while trying to find a way to neutralize his own creations. The final confrontation reveals that the entire War Council, meeting the deployment of the military transport and even the antidote, were all part of a larger plan by Richter to lure the sky sharks to a specific location, New York, where he could use the Megalodon and his dead flesh soldiers to destroy them. The revelation leaves the surviving leaders in shock as they realize they were all pawns in Richter's elaborate game. The movie concludes with Richter now a hero in the eyes of the public, celebrating his victory, but his true motives remain a mystery. The final scene with the post-credit Sky Frogs teaser hints at a future where Richter's experiments continue, leading to even more bizarre and dangerous creations. If you enjoy watching this video, then subscribe to Angel Recaps for the latest movies explanation.